Just when I thought that truck prices couldn't get any higher, Ford's latest announcement just might make that actually a reality. Because what recently happened, and it was posted in the news, might lead to another shortage of the Ford F-150 on dealer lots. Now I'm here at a Ford dealer today, and obviously you can see that right now they're pretty stacked with pickup trucks. Got F-150s lining up this row all the way back to the front of the building. You've got a little bit of a row right here. And as you can see, this row is so full of F-150s right now that they're double stacked from the front and the back, going all the way as far as you can see. And this row over here also had a few parts behind it as well. Right now, Ford dealers have a crap ton of inventory, and they're having to give huge discounts just to get them off the lot and sold. But all that might change over the next few weeks. And that's because of this article right here on Car and Driver that says, "A fire at an aluminum supplier is hurting Ford big time." So what exactly happened with this fire? What burned down? And how is that actually going to affect Ford over the next few months? And unfortunately, it's not only going to affect Ford, it's going to affect some vehicles from Stellantis as well, like Jeep and Ram and some of their other brands. So this thing gets a whole lot bigger than just causing problems at Ford. A fire in September is having widespread repercussions as Ford tries to navigate a shortage of aluminum that it desperately needs for its best-selling model. So Ford and Stellantis are experiencing production slowdowns after this fire because now there is unfortunately an aluminum shortage. And the Ford F-150 isn't the only vehicle from Ford that's going to suffer because of this. Ford has actually idled, either cut in half or completely stopped production of the Navigator, the Expedition, and of course the F-150, and they've cut production by almost half of the amount that they've been building over the past few months. And that's really gonna hurt dealers and people who are trying to buy trucks right now, especially if there's a shortage.
You know, we could see a little what we saw with COVID, where there weren't a lot of vehicles being produced, and then dealers were starting to hike up prices. So it wouldn't shock me.
Now, obviously, like I showed you, they have plenty of F-150s on this lot, and they're completely full. But if they don't get this plant up and running, or if they don't find another source for their aluminum for manufacturing these pickup trucks, in a matter of weeks, they could have a shortage at every single dealership in the country. And like I said, this is not just a problem for Ford. Stellantis has to cut production of the Jeep Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer as well. And obviously we need aluminum to build all these parts. The tailgate aluminum, the truck bed aluminum, every single door panel, everything you see around here is aluminum, fenders aluminum, the hood is aluminum. Vehicles nowadays rely heavily on aluminum. And if we're short on aluminum, they can't build the vehicles as fast, and there's just going to be less inventory on the lot, and that's a huge problem. According to the website automotivenews.com, the Warren Truck Assembly Plant, which currently builds the Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer, was idled starting this week with no plans to resume production until the week of November 3rd. This results in 3 weeks of no new Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer units leaving the factory. And their parent company Stellantis is actually taking that aluminum and prioritizing their Ram 1500 line of pickup trucks. Obviously, they're selling more Ram trucks than they are Wagoneer SUVs or Grand Wagoneer, and so it makes sense for Stellantis to prioritize a truck that's basically their bread and butter right now. And as far as production of the F-150, Automotive News reports that Ford has told suppliers that it will assemble around 530 trucks per day at the Dearborn Truck Assembly Facility all the way through the beginning of November. And that's 55% lower than the normal amount of F-150 trucks that they usually make in that given period. That means it's not just the normal F-150 that's going to have production cuts. They're going to have to cut supplies of the new Ford Lightning as well. It uses the same body as the F-150. Most of the panels are all the same. It's really the grille and headlights and stuff that's a little bit different. But I could see them cutting Lightning production more than just a standard F-150 because they still don't sell as well as the regular truck. Now, so far this year, Ford has sold over 620,000 of the F-150, and it's coming into the holidays. We're at the end of October. We got like a week left at the time of this posting of the video. So November, December might slow down a little bit as the holidays come through. Sometimes they get like Christmas sales and stuff like that, but maybe with the combination of like sales slowing down, they won't be in such a bad position and maybe prices won't have to go up. Have you ever bought like a vehicle, whether that's new or used, and it just comes with these like super basic carpeted floor mats? Well, thanks to today's sponsor, LastFit, you don't have to use those basic carpeted floor mats that offer almost zero protection. You can get premium quality floor mats at LastFit, designed for maximum interior protection, durability, and style. Their all-weather floor mats are custom fit to provide precise coverage for your cars, trucks, pickups, or SUVs. LastFit floor mats are made from eco-friendly, odorless, and long-lasting TPE materials. So not only are they strong, they're also very easy to clean. And LastFit doesn't just sell floor mats, they also have really nice mats for your truck bed as well. And my sister actually got a set of these LastFit floor mats for her Jeep Gladiator, and she's been using them for a couple weeks now. So I want to check up with her and see how these LastFit floor mats for her Jeep Gladiator are actually holding up.
We've had these LastFit floor mats for about 30 days now, and you can see all the grass and everything that this floor mat has caught. But if you notice, it's got these ridges all the way around. So we're gonna go ahead and lift the floor mat, and look how clean that is under there. All that grass and dirt all stayed inside of our floor mat. Same thing with the back seat. Now, obviously, whoever's been sitting here in the back seat hasn't had as dirty of shoes as the driver has, but you can still see that there is some dirt, or in this case, our daughter's dress, glitter everywhere, but it hugs tightly around, just like the front floor mat does. Everything underneath here is still clean. Now here in the bed of the truck, we have had to haul a few things. Right now we've just got some pea gravel, we've got some wood, but as you see, it keeps all the dirt and grime up here in the mat. So if this wood shifts while we're traveling, it's not gonna gouge the bottom of the bed, and so it's not gonna start rusting and all that, because this mat is protecting it from all this wood we have back here.
LastFit has mats for just about any car, truck, or SUV. So if you want to protect the interior of your vehicle from dirt and damage, I highly recommend you grab some of these floor mats or cargo area protection from LastFit. Just click one of the links below in the description to grab a set for yourself. And make sure to use code AUGD1 at checkout for an 18% discount. Thanks to LastFit for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. So unfortunately, the Novelis plant, which is the plant that builds all of this aluminum, is not supposed to restart production until early of 2026. So Ford has to find an alternative source for their aluminum for basically all of their vehicles. And if they don't find an alternative source, come about 2 months from now, when the current inventory has been sold, we're going to run into a big problem in December. The big issue with that plant not opening back up for 2 or 3 more months is that Ford has to go outside of the country to find alternative sources of aluminum, which means that they're going to have to pay higher costs and potentially tariffs on that as well. And as of right now, that estimated rise in the cost of aluminum for Ford could be to the tune of over $1 billion in losses. So what exactly happens to F-150 prices if the Novelis plant takes even longer than 2 or 3 months to get back open? Well, it becomes a big issue, and that takes us all the way back to 2021. So back in 2021, during all the COVID crap, Ford actually had a huge shortage of pickup trucks. And it wasn't just Ford that had a shortage of pickup trucks. It was Ford, Ram, Chevy, all of the major manufacturers had shortages in pickup trucks. And this led over the course of 2021 to 2023, because the shortage lasted a couple of years, which is kind of mind-blowing how long it lasted. But that shortage led to increases in price. First, the price increases started because dealers didn't have much, and basically every truck that was on the lot, whether that was an F-150, Ram, GM, what have you, the competition was getting really, really heavy, and so the dealers could justify like, hey, we've got 5 of these on the lot, they might be gone in the next 2 days, we've got 20 buyers lined up for 5 vehicles, and that created a bidding war, and dealers for a while were getting over MSRP, even on just like trucks like this regular F-150. They were able to get crazy amounts of money for these trucks, and they were just regular old F-150s. There was nothing super great about any of these models. We always know versions like this Raptor always went for crazy amounts of money over sticker, especially like the first year that they came out. And I'm talking about the Raptor Bronco, but also the Raptor versions of like F-150s, or with Ram, the TRX, you know, people are used to seeing special versions of vehicles over MSRP, but just regular old F-150s, that's very uncommon. So what ended up happening over those years, 21 to 23, is there was a shortage of vehicles, people were fighting over who could get them, and that led to rising prices. Not only that, but the last few years, the United States printed ridiculous amounts of money, inflation rose, and truck prices went up with those inflation as well. And honestly, it wasn't just inflation that made all of these prices increase. It was also a bit of corporate greed. Ford, Chevy, Ram, basically all the other manufacturers, honestly, got used to getting these high profit margins on vehicles. And so combined with everything, it just ballooned into this one insane rise in prices to the tune of what I'm going to show you right here. This is one of the cheaper versions of the F-150. It's an STX, and the price is in the front window, so I'll just read it off to you, unless I can show it to you. But this is a basic STX with the 2.7 liter, the smaller EcoBoost engine, and it's $48,000. Back in early 21, you could get that sort of trim level for like $36,000, $37,000, and it ended up being a good deal for everyone involved. But now it's $48,000. And what gets even crazier is when you go to the higher trim levels, the prices jumped accordingly as well. So something like this F-150 trimmer, one of the higher trim level packages that's not a Lariat, but it's still pretty pricey. This 2025 with the 5-liter V8 is $69,480. $70,000 for this truck, which is about 15 to 20 grand more than what you could have got this truck for brand new in 2020. And those prices are just no longer sustainable with the amount of inventory that Ford has on these lots. And so because they have so much inventory currently, like I showed you in the beginning of this video, flooded all over this lot, they had to give massive discounts to the tune of like sometimes 10 grand off. It's pretty crazy. However, because of this aluminum shortage, I'm wondering if 2 months from now, that factory's not open and Ford has to source all their, aluminum panels from different countries and they're cutting production by 50%. That might cause all of these lots that are full right now to start looking like this side of the lot that's very, very empty. You've got so many empty parking spaces here. And then if we move on over to the SUVs, this might actually be starting already because, like I said, they cut production of everything by 50% and they cut the SUV production a little bit more than that. So you can see when I move to like the section that has the SUVs, that's all empty. We've got a ton of empty spaces here. These are all supposed to be full of SUVs. And it's looking kind of sad. You've got a little bit of row of Expeditions here. But if the F-150 side of this lot starts looking like the SUV side of the lot, and competition stays high and like buyers are still trying to buy because some people need trucks, and honestly at the end of the year, you have all these business people that have their companies, they buy trucks for their businesses at the end of the year to use as tax write-off. It's like, oh, either buy a $70,000 truck or you got to give $70,000 to the US government. And they're like, well, I need more trucks. I'd rather buy an F-150 and have something I could actually use than giving that $70,000 to the government. So you're going to see a lot of this competition peak for buying trucks at the end of this year through November and December. So if inventory is low, prices are just going to stay high, and honestly, they might go even higher. But what's going to happen with some of the Stellantis brands and also Toyota, because Toyota is having a different problem, and there's a reason why Toyota prices are actually staying high and it hasn't changed. Like, you get very little discounts at Toyota compared to like what you see at Ford and honestly even what you see at Ram. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I jumped on over to like a Jeep and Ram dealership just to check out the situation currently, and I noticed a few things since the last time I was here, and it's probably been a couple months since I've been to this dealership. But something I find interesting is, well, let me show you. So they have all these trucks lined up underneath these canopies here, and then over here on these two canopies they've got all the Jeeps lined up under here, and you'll notice they're all parked sideways. So all of these are parked sideways. These are parked sideways on the Ram truck side. This Wagoneer in this color actually looks pretty sick. Despite this being really expensive, I think it's a great looking vehicle. Anyways, the reason I wanted to point out that these are all parked sideways, like even the Jeep Gladiators here are parked sideways, is last time I was at this dealership, you could look all the way down this row, and they were stacked on both sides, this side and that side underneath these canopies, parked straight. So they had enough Jeep Grand Cherokees, Jeep Wranglers, and also Jeep Gladiators to fill both sides under this canopy and both sides under that Ram canopy full of trucks. And now that a few months have passed, they're depleted by probably more than half of their inventory. And there's a few reasons why I feel like Jeep and Ram have like depleted their inventory. One of them is they realized that their prices, like Ford, just went up insanely high. And so they've been doing pretty insane discounts on Gladiators, Jeep Wranglers, and even the full-size Ram 1500 trucks. So I've seen Ram 1500s and Jeep Gladiators discounted up to like $20,000 off of MSRP the past few weeks. And most of the time that's ones that have been here like previous year models, like 2023s, 2024 models that for some reason were still sitting on the lot up until a couple of weeks ago, and we're at the end of 2025. So having a 2023 version of anything on the lot right now is insane, and those are the ones you usually see like 20 grand off. But like even the 25 and upcoming 26 models, like this Rubicon that you see here, it's a 2025 model, and they're trying to get rid of these because they got to make room for 2026s. And this Rubicon right here, brand new, without any discounts, is $60,000, which honestly is pretty insane for this is a mid-size pickup truck. That's full-size truck money. And so why would you spend 60 grand on a Gladiator when you can get a full-size Ram 1500 that has more room and is more comfortable for the same money? But as you can see here, they still have one row that's pretty stacked, normal, everything's parked straight, and that's what all these other rows used to look like. But the reason I really came over here is not to point that out. It's a little bit of the reason, but all of these Grand Cherokees right here, and you can see the Grand Wagoneer here as well, like they don't have many of them. They got a Grand Cherokee there. They've got one way over there, like the maroon one. And then they've just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 over here, and that's it. And if they're cutting production by more than half on these vehicles to maintain production of the 1500s, I don't see the prices of these Grand Wagoneers, Grand Cherokees going down anytime soon for Jeep and for Ram. And Ram is probably going to struggle to keep up with production on the 1500 trucks that you see back there for the next few months. But what's going to happen to Toyota's prices from this aluminum shortage? Because what I find interesting with Toyota is they do something completely different than how Ford handles their pricing, and I'll show you right now. So I'm now at Toyota because what they do with their pricing is completely different than what every other auto manufacturer does, at least currently. And even if there's a shortage, I don't think much is going to change as far as Toyota pricing goes. They're not really affected as much as Ford. But here's the interesting thing. When it comes to trucks like this shiny new Tacoma here, or even something larger like the Tundra, you're hardly going to see any discounts, especially like discounts for like the average person. And there's some reasons for that. First of all, Toyota is very good at, I would say, controlling their inventory. What you'll see most of the time on Toyota lots is they're just going to have enough inventory for about 30 to 35 days. While if you go to like, let's say, a GM dealer or a Nissan dealer, rest in peace, Titan, or something like Chevy, or even that Ford dealership that we were at earlier, you'll see they have way more trucks than they need, and they have like sometimes 5 to 6 months worth of inventory, and some trucks sit around for a year before they sell if it's not as popular of a trim level. But that's not the case with something like Toyota here, with their Tundra or any of their SUVs or Toyota Camrys, or even something like the brand new 4Runner. You'll find that Toyota only keeps basically what they need to get through the month, and maybe a little bit further, like 6 weeks. And that's good and bad. Let's start with the bad. The reason that that's bad is it's not as good for the consumer, because that means prices on things like the new Tacoma can stay relatively high and the discounts aren't going to be as competitive as if you bought something from Ford, Chevy, GM, or Ram. When they have just enough inventory and they're not overflowing with cars, trucks, or SUVs on the lot, then they're not as desperate to like get this truck sold. It's been here for 180 days. You know, you don't see 180-day vehicles hardly ever on a Toyota lot. That just doesn't really happen very often. It's still one of the most reliable vehicles you can buy despite current engine issues in the Tundra. You'll see here, even when I pan over to like the area with the cars, they only have just enough cars to kind of get things by. A lot of these over here are certified used. They have a large amount of used vehicles that kind of overpowers the amount of new vehicles they have. And I think that just kind of helps show you how little new inventory that Toyota typically carries. Like everything you see here, all these Priuses and Camrys, all of this is used. Everything over here is used. And even those trucks over there were used. And then you pop over to the new section and you'll see what the difference looks like. So over here on the new side of Toyota, it's a completely different story than the used section. Right now, I only see 2 Toyota Sienna minivans. And honestly, these are used vehicles parked on the new side. As you can see, this is a 2024. And they're actually making it pretty difficult for me to find anything new. I did find a few new ones. We got one of the highest selling volume vehicles in the entire world, the RAV4. And you can see here, these are new. This one was delivered recently. It's got the number here. And you can see this has a new dealer MSRP sticker in the front windshield. And of course on the back, it doesn't have the certified used vehicles. It's got like a green plate. So they do have a few RAV4s, and honestly they have more RAV4s than anything else on this lot. I mean, it's in this section here, stacked up over on that row, and then it goes all the way around the front of the building here. And in order to find another SUV that they have that's new, like the new 4Runner, I have to walk all the way over to this like second section of new right here that honestly barely has anything in it. You got a couple of new Camrys here, but there's like 2 new 4Runners stuffed way in the back over here next to the shiny blue Camry. I like the new 4Runner design. If you don't, you're just weird. But as you can see, it's very depleted of new vehicles over here. And as a matter of fact, I only found 1 new Toyota Tundra and 1 new Toyota Tacoma sitting over here. That's a mix of new and used right there. I did find some new Toyota Tundras just shoved in this corner over here by some of the used vehicles. So they do have more than 1 Tundra, unlike I thought. You know, they kind of have them scattered, which is a little weird. And that's really just about it for the new side. So why is Toyota doing this? Well, when they have less inventory, they can keep the prices high, they can sell them close to MSRP, and they don't have to offer very many discounts to get these sold. And they don't have to waste money paying for inventory that sits here for months and months and months, costing them money. But anyways, do you think Toyota is brilliant for keeping inventory low? Or do you think it's kind of silly and a way for them to keep their prices up a little bit higher than everyone else and not have to offer discounts? Hopefully that aluminum shortage gets handled really quickly, because I don't want to see truck prices go even higher than they already have. If they can't get aluminum in time, if the inventory is depleted, if you go on the lots and they're empty again, prices are going to just stay high. So don't go flooding out trying to rush and buy one, because then you'll create a false panic. Just let it ride. Hopefully this aluminum thing is situated in the next couple of months before it gets bad. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.